about 6 years ago, I took a job that I still regret talking about. At the time, I was 24 and working private security in northern Wyoming. I had dropped out of community college, burned through most of my savings, and honestly, just needed a paycheck. The company I worked for mostly handled boring overnight jobs, empty warehouses, construction sites, storage facilities, stuff like that. One afternoon, my supervisor called me and asked if I wanted extra money for a 3-night assignment. I should have said no the second he explained it. The job was at a tiny abandoned mining town about an hour outside of Casper. The place used to have around 200 residents back in the 1970s. But after the mine shut down, everybody left. According to my supervisor, a real estate company had recently bought the land and wanted overnight security there because people kept trespassing and vandalizing the old buildings. The pay was insane, especially for me back then. So I accepted immediately. The drive out there already felt wrong. The further I got from the highway, the emptier everything became. No gas stations, no houses, no lights. Just endless dark hills and dead trees. By the time I reached the town, the sun was setting, and honestly, calling it a town is generous. There were maybe 8 buildings left standing. Most of them looked like they were one strong wind away from collapsing. The old church had half its roof missing. The general store's windows were boarded up. There was an abandoned sheriff's office near the center of town, with a rusted police cruiser still parked outside. The only building that still had electricity was a small security trailer the company placed there a week earlier. Inside the trailer there was a desk, a cheap coffee machine, a radio, and 6 security monitors connected to cameras around the property. Simple job. Sit there from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Call the cops if anyone showed up. That was it. Before leaving, my supervisor said something weird. He looked at me and said, "If you hear somebody knocking, don't open the door unless you can see them on camera first." Then he laughed, like it was some kind of joke. I laughed too at the time. I stopped laughing around midnight. The first few hours were uneventful. I watched YouTube videos on my phone, drank terrible coffee, and occasionally checked the monitors. Around 12:40 a.m., one of the cameras flickered. Camera 3. The one pointed at the old church. At first, I thought the wind was messing with the signal, but then I noticed something standing near the church entrance. A person, tall, completely still. I leaned closer to the monitor. The figure looked wrong somehow. Even through the grainy camera quality, I could tell they were unusually thin, like painfully thin. I grabbed the radio. "Hello? This is Site Security, properties closed." No response. The figure didn't move. I tried again. Nothing. After about 30 seconds, the camera glitched for half a second, and when the image came back, the figure was gone. I remember laughing nervously to myself. I told myself it was probably just some drifter messing around. Still, I locked the trailer door. About 20 minutes later, I heard footsteps outside, crunching slowly through the gravel. I checked the monitors immediately. Nothing. Every camera angle around the trailer was empty, but the footsteps continued. Slow, heavy, circling the trailer. I could literally hear the gravel shifting outside my window. At this point, I was genuinely scared. I called my supervisor. No answer. I tried again. Straight to voicemail. Then the footsteps stopped completely. The silence afterwards somehow felt worse. A few minutes passed. Then, 3 knocks hit the trailer door. Slow, deliberate. My entire body froze. I stared at the monitor aimed directly at the entrance. Nobody was there. Another 3 knocks. Louder this time. I actually whispered, "What the hell?" Then I remembered what my supervisor told me earlier. Don't open the door unless you see them on camera first. I kept staring at the monitor. Empty. But the knocking continued. At this point, my fight or flight instincts kicked in hard. I grabbed the flashlight from the desk and stepped closer to the trailer window. And that's when I saw him. Not on the monitor. Right outside the side window, standing inches from the glass. I stumbled backward, so hard I knocked the chair over. The man looked filthy. Pale skin, hollow cheeks, bald head. But it was his expression that terrified me. He was smiling. Not a normal smile either. The kind where somebody stretches their mouth too wide like they're pretending to understand how humans smile. He slowly raised one finger to his lips, like he was telling me to be quiet. Then he walked away from the window. I immediately looked back at the monitors. Still nothing. Every camera feed around the trailer was completely empty. That's when I realized something horrifying. The cameras weren't live anymore. Every monitor was frozen. The timestamps weren't moving. I grabbed my phone, no signal. Then the power inside the trailer went out. Everything became pitch black. I heard movement outside immediately after. Not footsteps this time. Multiple footsteps circling the trailer. At least 3 or 4 people, maybe more. I could hear whispering too. Not clear words, just low murmuring. Then somebody started scratching the side of the trailer. Slowly. Like fingernails against metal. I honestly considered making a run for my car right then, but my car was parked about 40 feet away in complete darkness, and whatever was outside was between me and it. Then came the voice, a woman's voice, soft, right outside the door. "Please help me." I didn't move. "Please, they're trying to hurt me." Every horror movie cliché in existence was screaming in my brain, but the voice sounded real, terrified, crying. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "They already got the last guard." I backed away from the door. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed against the trailer wall hard enough to shake the entire structure. Another bang followed on the roof, then another. It sounded like people climbing on top of the trailer. The woman outside started laughing. Not normal laughter, hysterical laughter. At the same time, the scratching against the walls became more aggressive. I finally snapped. I grabbed the emergency flare gun from the supply cabinet and bolted for the door. The second I opened it, freezing wind hit me in the face. The entire town was dead silent. No whispers, no footsteps, nothing. I ran toward my car anyway. Halfway there, I heard movement behind me, fast movement. I turned around and saw multiple figures stepping out from between the buildings, tall, thin, watching me. I fired the flare gun instinctively. The bright red light illuminated the street for a split second, and I swear to God, there were at least 7 of them, just standing there smiling. I made it to my car, locked the doors, and sped out of that town faster than I've ever driven in my life. As I reached the highway, my phone suddenly regained signal. I called my supervisor immediately. When he answered, the first thing he said was, "You left the trailer, didn't you?" I asked him what the hell those people were. There was silence for a few seconds, then he sighed and said something I still think about constantly. "That town's not abandoned." I quit the next morning. A few months later, I tried looking the place up online. Couldn't find anything. No records, no property listing. Nothing. Like the town never existed at all. But sometimes late at night, I still think about those people standing in the road, smiling at me in the flare light like they already knew I wasn't making it through all 3 nights.